Hi theory students. Today we're going to do part 2 about diatonic sequences. In part 1, we learned the basic concepts of sequences. Here in part 2, we'll look at the most versatile and popular of the harmonic sequences, the descending fifth sequence. If we go the whole octave starting on the 1 chord, it goes from 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, and 1. Composers sometimes go the whole octave and sometimes just do part of the octave. In terms of the melody and the linear intervallic progressions, the chords are generally arranged in pairs so that the 1 and 4 take up one measure in one pattern, 7 and 3 another one, 6 and 2, and then 5 and 1. By arranging the melodies in pairs, the chords in pairs, it helps avoid parallel fifths and reduces the whole octave to only 4 segments, those 4 pairs, instead of 8 segments. In root position, the usual linear intervallic progressions are either tenths all the way in contrary motion, or 10 octave, 10 octave, 10 octave. I'll show you both on the music. So here we are set up with our progression, and in order to do this, we're going to have to put a tenth over there. Note, by the way, that the F in the tenor you're going to play with the left hand, otherwise we have too much of a stretch. And then this progression over here, this pair, is what we'll be sequencing. So let's take everything in that first measure and bring it down a step from the first measure. So now we go back to this position for the 7 chord. By the way, notice that on the 7 chord we normally wouldn't have that triad in root position, but as part of this progression we're not going to a tonic, we're going to a 3 chord, so we see this doubled leading tone and all. So there we go there, down a step here, and there, and then finally we don't have a tenth at the very end where we make a cadence, but actually we have our perfect authentic cadence. So in the outer voices, and the other voices move only by step, no leaps in the alto and tenor. Okay, let me revisit this. And notice that I'm only erasing the upbeats. And now instead of going to a tenth, I'm going to go to an octave on the offbeats. I'm still repeating the pair of chords as our sequence. And now it sounds like this. That's the root position version. Both kinds that we see, with tenths all the way for a linear intervallic pattern and with alternation of tenths and octaves. Something that we can do is to alternate root position and first inversion chords. And depending on whether the odd or the even chords are in root position, or in this case, as we're writing it, downbeats or upbeats are in root position, the lip can be either 10-6, 10-6, 10-6, or 6-10, 6-10, 6-10. We need to see an example of this. So here we are. So here's the 10th, the 6th. Notice I'm doing the same melody that I did before, 10-6, 10-6, 10, and then at the end, octave at the cadence. So when we fill this in with the chord, that's our root position. Now we can go there. We already have a third of the chord in the bass. And we fill the rest of that in, and we've got a nice sequence here. So now this way it's a nice smooth bass, and you see how that works. If you wanted to see it go the other way, where the downbeats are the first inversion chords, you can try that yourself. Then we would start with E in the bass going to F, and then D going to E, etc. A really cool variant is one in which we have seventh chords all the way. And when we do, the lip that's formed is 10-7, 10-7, 10-7. And in order to avoid parallels, we're going to alternate complete and incomplete chords. I'll show you how this works. So here is a 1-7. Sorry, let me make that a little clearer. We keep that note because that will be the seventh of the 4-7. We take the seventh of the 1-7, which is B. We take that down by step, and we end up with an incomplete 4-7. Root, root, third, seventh. We leave the fifth out. That's what we do with incomplete seventh chords. So the next one, the soprano goes down and the other two parts stay. I'm not actually going to play them as ties, but I just want to show you the common tones. So now we keep this and the other two move down, and then we move the top and keep the middle two voices. And we go there, and then finally for the 5-7, and you know how this turns out. And an octave at the end. So here it is with seventh chords. nice, isn't it? You could even do variants of this where there are inversions of the seventh chords. For instance, if I started with a 1-4-2, it's pretty funky, and go to a 4-6-5, and then a 7-4-2, etc. You could work out the other variations, and you'll see different versions of it in the book. The most important thing to remember is that when we have the descending fifth progression, we arrange the chords in pairs, and whatever pattern we have in the pair of chords, we repeat a step lower, and then a step lower, and a step lower till we get to the cadence. If you remember that, then you'll get a handle on these very important descending fifth progressions in all of their forms. That's all for today.